Hey guys, this is Clint with Creative Retail Talks, and I'm excited to be visiting today with Darrin Stern, who is the show director for H&H Americas.
Hi, this is Clint 𝗏𝗏. Thanks for joining the Creative Retail Talks podcast today, where we will be discussing the latest in life, business, and retail.
And so look forward to visiting with Darrin today about what's behind that show and his vision for the show and what it means for our U.S. market. So Darrin, good to have you today.
Yes, thank you so much for having me on, Clint. I appreciate you making the time in your busy schedule to listen to us and to learn a little bit more about what we're doing.
Absolutely. Well, I look forward to visiting about this with you today, and for our listeners to be able to hear about what you guys are doing with H&H Americas. So let's start going back. Let's start going to the history of the H&H show in Cologne. And I know most of the U.S. market is very familiar with the show that you guys do in Cologne. So let's start with that one. Tell me a little bit about the history behind that show and what makes that show special.
The H&H Cologne show has been in the city of Cologne for many years, probably 20, 30 years. And it was originally run by the association, the 𝗗𝗔𝗥𝗥𝗜 initiative. And then over time, they brought on 𝗗𝗏𝗧𝗘𝗥𝗥𝗜 to operate it on their behalf to grow the show. What makes the show so unique over the last 10-year cycle, it has become, I would say, the global meeting point for fiber arts, which is exciting because so often there's different fractures, particularly here in the US. We have quilting, needlepoint, small market, large market yarn, then we have crafting somewhere else. And it became a fractured universe here, but the global world was able to coalesce behind one brand, one universal gathering, one opportunity where you can see all the soft craft items under one umbrella. That in 2019, the last pre-COVID show is probably the best way to think of it. It took 4 exhibit halls with over 425 companies from 84 nations with over 16,000 visitors.
Wow.
So just purely those numbers give you a sense of scale and size.
Yeah, that's very impressive. Very impressive. And I've heard great things about it from both buyers and suppliers that I've talked to in the U.S. market that have been everyone comes back raving about H&H. And I know in the pandemic, when I had to shut down for a while, people were very sad to not be able to go to Cologne for the show. So I'm glad it's back and up and running, and super excited for you guys to be coming to the U.S. market. Tell me a little bit about the process that led to H&H coming to the U.S. this summer.
Sure. I mean, as 𝗗𝗏𝗧𝗘𝗥𝗥𝗜, we do trade shows for a living. That's our business, to produce and organize events, whether we own them or organize them for partners. In the US, had a very strong and vibrant network of events that were here in 2018, 2019. Those events existed. Mm-hmm. And due to COVID, like many industries and many businesses, unfortunately, there was a contraction. It made life difficult for lots of people in lots of different industry segments. During that period, 𝗗𝗏𝗧𝗘𝗥𝗏𝗜, being a large multinational company, we survived. We came through the pandemic. Yes, we had some financial losses like everyone else, but we are still here today. We still have our global network. And because we're so large, we still did shows during the pandemic because of the global economy, shows in China, shows in Thailand, shows in Singapore. As one part of the world kind of shut down and reopened, we were able to kind of follow the world. Doing that, we moved into digital events. We had H&H Digital in the year in 2021, In 2022, we actually reopened it live. And then as we saw this, we knew we have a strong brand. People recognize it as a market leader for unifying the fiber arts. And we said, well, there's now a market opportunity. When we launched the show back almost a year ago, August, at that time, there was no B2B event for the general fiber arts, but even more particularly, if you just focus on the yarn side of the business, there was nothing for them. So we decided to bring our knowledge, our know-how, our sales network, our abilities to improve the U.S. market conditions and give the industry a chance to gather again and to reunite and be together.
Yeah, that's great. And I'm hearing a lot of buzz about the show. I know a lot of people are excited about coming to Chicago in June. Tell us a little bit about the vision for H&H Americas. I know a lot of thought and strategy has been put into it. You and I have had a chance to talk off the record some about just some of the thoughts and ideas. So tell us a little bit about the vision behind the show.
How many hours do we have to get? Or let's just admit people will tune out because it'll go too long. No, the reality is it's true as we can get to that sense, unifying people. That's how we do business. We believe in taking down walls, taking down borders, bringing people together across countries, across nations, across states, doesn't matter. Bringing humans together is our primary business. Giving them a framework to show products, touch products, find innovative products, and do business together is what we thrive at and what we strive to do every day. So when we apply that to the fiber art community, having an event for just indie dyers, it's nice, but it's only a portion of the business. What can they learn if I bring some mid-scale producers or some large-scale producers? Or what happens if I bring some fabric guys and some thread guys and maybe a sewing machine person? And the cross-pollination, the cross ideas, sharing of ideas. And I think the modern world, retailers need to be a little more flexible. It's hard to be a single category sales store anymore. You have to do multiple things. Is a quilt shop just a quilt shop, or is a quilt shop now also a sewing and garment shop? Right? Like, hey, sewing machines and vacuums, who knew, right? They go together. But the idea, like that kind of ideas of what things fit together, or the idea that our customers, the person who's coming in to buy these end use products, they're crafters, they're makers. They want to inspire to learn new things, try new things, or taking beads in with yarn or beads with fabric. It's that same idea of working with fiber across the board.
Yeah. Well, and I love your tagline behind the vision, uniting the soft crafts industries in North America. There's a lot of great sentiment behind that. And I love what you're doing, especially bringing the different pieces together in really kind of a unique way for the U.S. market. So very exciting.
And it's very unique for the U.S. market, because when you come to Europe, you see very large multinational brands with monstrosity, mega house-sized booths sitting across the aisle from a little 10 by 10 who's a small market or a startup or a small batch production, maybe indie hand-dyed, and they can live side by side. Or you have a large retailer like Michael's can come from the United States, or here in Northbrook, Illinois, 3 bags full. So, she owns a single shop. She comes to the show, but they both can find product that makes sense for them, that they can, and there's things they can learn together even, and they work in different universes.
Yeah. So really meeting the needs of a broad segment of the market, and having everyone right there in the room together. That's awesome. Very, very cool. So you mentioned the global impact and the global presence, not only in Cologne, but also as you're putting the show together in the U.S. You shared a few really cool stories with me when we were talking before about some of the globalization and some of the people coming. Can you share a couple of those stories that we talked about that just show it's an example of the globalization of the show and the international reach that it's having already?
Well, I do think we need to create a medal for the longest traveled. We'll need to kind of get someone to help us geography wise, but we do have retailers coming from Australia. Some of the reason is because they haven't been able to travel, right? They want to travel again. They believe in the H&H brand, and they want to see this cross-pollination of products from yarn and to quilt shop. She happens to be a quilt shop owner in Southern Australia. Mm-hmm. Or you have a particular exhibitor who has gotten her visa and is making her way from the Ukraine.
Wow.
And all that's going on in her world, she still sees that it's important enough to connect with others, to continue her business, to keep showing also that Ukraine is a vibrant economy and a vibrant place and wonderful people. And she's taking the time to get here. They might be some of the most polar opposite of locations, to as simple as going north of the border to Canada, right? Many Canadians will come down.
Yeah. The lady coming from Ukraine should definitely get a medal. That I love to know that she's coming and that she is still not thriving, but still focused on her business there in Ukraine, and certainly wishing the best for all the people in Ukraine. And hope she's able to go back and thrive again one day. I'm so glad she's coming. That's really neat.
Yes, agreed.
So how many different countries overall will be represented at the show?
On the exhibit floor, we have 24 different nations of exhibitors.
Wow.
And we have, right as of today, we're 191 exhibiting companies. If you want to count them by brands, it's over 200, because you have companies like a 𝗗𝗥𝗥𝗡 Yarns that carries multiple European brands within his distribution, or a Universal Yarns as another one of those kinds of companies that have multiple brands within their space, or Trendsetters is another one that represent many companies within one registered individual company. And you see almost as an eclectic scan of international attendees. We have German attendees, you see attendees from Spain, people coming from Turkey, and you can kind of go on and on, like reading down the list. We don't need to read 24 different countries of names, but it's nice because it's from an attendee point of view. If you haven't been to Cologne before, there's even more in Cologne, believe it or not, but that for you now will get exposed to so many new companies that you can buy from, that you have the ability to reach, and they want to reach us. Like the tremendous interest in the American market of these, particularly these international companies, is unbelievable.
Yeah. So, Darrin, that's really interesting information about the exhibitors coming and the attendees coming. Tell me about the retailers. So, what are some of the major retailers that are planning to attend the show this summer?
It's been very nice because many of those larger companies like the Michaels and Joann's and Hobby Lobbies and Walmarts and Amazons and of those types of typical ones that carry fiber arts or the fiber products, they're normal H&H customers, right? They've already been coming to Cologne. So to them to have one in their home turf makes life just actually a little easier. Maybe they could bring a few other people.
Yeah.
Or even like 𝗗𝗥𝗥𝗡 and Checkers for some of the larger distributors. Again, those buyers now have an opportunity to source these products that they may want to find new interesting things to bring into their catalogs. And when we're seeing on the retail side, it's nice because it's been this march forward, and we're kind of, I would say we're in that middle part where people are kind of at a lull, but we're still at a pace that we will achieve our goal of about 2,000, 2,500 total attendees coming to the show.
Yeah.
So we're still very positive. We're still very excited. And the one thing I always tie to that, because it's been a common theme, people are bringing up the idea of COVID and what do I do and keeping safe, and skipping the health topic now. We can go back to that later if you find it interesting. But what's fun about our format, and which is one of our topics coming up, is that you don't have to choose, can I go to the show? The answer is yes, you can go. It's just how you want to go. But we'll leave that as a soundbite because I know we want to get into that.
There you go. And that's a good tease. That'll be coming up in just a few minutes here. So we'll definitely come back to that. So that's some great background on the show. And I know, from the retailers you rattled off, we talk to a lot of those on a regular basis. And I know they love the Cologne show and are very excited about the show coming to Chicago. So great background on the show. Let's talk a little bit about community engagement, community impact. I know you guys are doing a lot of great things on that front. Tell me about what you guys are doing with Knit the Rainbow.
So we have partnered with Knit the Rainbow. They're a nonprofit based in New York City that asks for finished knitted items of warmth. So hats, gloves, scarves, anything to keep people warm. And they target getting these items to kids in at-risk communities in the LGBTQ community, particularly in New York. And it was good timing because he's had aspirations to grow his reach and to grow the network. And he already was targeting Chicago as the next city to move into. It's a nice second city. He's in New York. Where are you going to go next?
Yeah.
It's a geographic second place to land. So it gave him that little push to say, I'm going to do it. So he is building up the network here, and he's actually presenting during the conference to talk about how craft activism, or crafticism, if I can say that correctly, is a total net positive. It's great to give back and do things for your community, and particularly take care of people that are at risk, but also it helps generate people coming into your stores because you can have knitting parties, garment sewing parties to make these items as groups. And then also it sells product, like at the end of the day, right? Like this stuff has to be made out of something, whether it's the old remnants that they have left or the last bit of ball of yarn that they didn't finish. they now have an excuse of what to do with some of these things that got left over to then replenish their coffers for some new projects they want to take on. We put out the message. We have signs people can put in their stores. We have digital assets that retailers can use to promote to their customers. Say, hey, come bring it to me. I will go donate it for you at the show. We'll have donation bins in the lobby. He has a booth on the show floor. You can sit and knit with him. On his website, it has easy to use patterns for beginners to experts of what you can knit. And then on top of all of that, we're calling out anyone who's in the driving distance of Rosemont, anyone who likes the fiber arts, and anybody who wants to come out. Our goal is to get 1,000 people knitting under the stars on Thursday night in June, on June 22nd, because Rosemont has a concert in the park. It's a Tom Petty tribute band that's open to the public, and we'll have a tent out there so you can come out, knit under the stars, have some ice cream, have a cocktail, have some dinner, find other knitters who have the same passion as you. Meet, if you're a consumer, you can maybe meet some of these manufacturers, you can meet some of these dyers. At our tent, we have Lion Brands has generously donated 100 skeins of yarn. We'll be handing out free yarn to people to make items with. And yes, of course, we can accept donations there in the park as well.
Yeah.
So we're quite excited about that.
What a great event. Oh my gosh, that sounds exciting on so many fronts. You get to knit under the stars, have community with people from the industry, and get to listen to some Tom Petty music. I mean, how do you beat that?
A nice summer night outdoors with friends. I honestly, there's no better answer.
Yeah. Well, and what's great to me about that is community is such a big part of the creative industry, and especially for makers. And so for them to have an opportunity to be in community and also be doing something to give back together, I just think that's going to be an amazing event. So kudos to you guys for putting that together and partnering with Knit the Rainbow to do that. That's going to be amazing. And
it's fun because I think it's also for the industry, it's something unique that we're taking manufacturers, their customers, and then their customers' customers. And hopefully our goal is to bring them together in one environment so that the manufacturer can see what the actual end user consumer sees, that we're completing the chain from user all the way up to the supplier and bringing them together in what I think can be a very productive environment. Yeah, I think so. And that's very unique, for the end consumer, to be able to talk to either, people from the retailer or people from the supplier. That's very unique because they're usually separated from those, from that group. Yes. So that'll be a special event, I think, for everyone, and a win all around. I think a lot of great things will come from that. So let's go to the show format. You kind of teased this a minute ago, and just from what you shared with me, I think you guys are doing some really neat things with the show format. So share some of those interesting things that you're doing with the show format and how it makes H&H Americas a little bit unique. Well, sometimes you can call me Mr. P.T. Barnum. We're trying to do lots of things, all simultaneously. So I think the hard part for people is going to be choice. Yeah. What is it you want to do? Like the trade show stuff, yes, a trade show is a trade show. We have, as we say, the 200 products there on the floor. You will find a recharge lounge to sit down and charge your phone, to sit down and relax. We have a fashion boulevard that will have interactive exhibits where you could scan QR codes and get more information. We have a VIP lounge for certain types of individuals. We even have a networking lounge, and now I'll explain that in a little bit more, where individuals can reserve tables and 30-minute opportunities to be able to just meet people at the show. So you don't have to say, oh, I'm at the end of the 100 aisle, or meet me in front of the men's room, or whatever it might be, like trying to find people. You can say, hey, I booked this table 1. I'll see you there at 2:00. Yeah. So those are some unique things. We have a traditional paid conference program, and that's divided for designers, for suppliers, for retailers, and then for every one of the tracks that it's in. Every day we have a keynote session, kicking off a large scale topic that goes on with it. Though the keynote sessions are free of charge for everyone. We have hands-on workshops with specialty designers and specialty individuals that are a little bit extra, but it's a long form, hands-on, small group, formalized workshop. And then we also have sofa talks, which are on the show floor, a little shorter format, a little lighter in content delivery, but also very topical. And those are also free to everyone. And they run throughout the course of the day, where one that we brought up when we spoke that I think is fun, that I'm excited to see how many people attend it. We have an individual who's going to talk about what are cryptocurrencies? Why are they important to understand? What is an NFT? We understand the uniqueness in this community and being environmentally conscious, but getting to understand what it means, why is it important to understand what it is? And then we also have a graffiti artist who's local here in Chicago speaking about why he's embraced NFTs to protect his livelihood, to his what's normally a free piece of art on a wall, how he can monetize it and make part of his living through this kind of new commodity or this new asset, essentially, is what it's become.
Boy, that is very P.T. Barnum, bringing in cryptocurrency and graffiti artists and tying all that into fiber arts. That's really cool. And something that I think a lot of people have questions about. So I think that'll be a very value add sofa talk that you're doing with that.
And with that, part of the audience that we've been marketing to, where we've done a very extensive print campaign, we've been doing digital campaigns, we've had magazine campaigns, but also, as we say, true to our title, we are looking for the traditional retailer, small retailers, large retailers. We're looking for the Etsy maker, the maker that may only make $1,000 a month now, maybe it's $500 a month, but there are also Etsy makers that grow that business and also have retail stores or are doing, 6 digits through Etsy, selling lots of finished fiber arts product that need to source those things. Or if you're an educator at a local elementary school teaching, I don't think they call it home economics anymore, so I apologize for my age in the wrong term, but the sewing class at the middle school, she needs to source sewing machines. She needs to source ideas or patterns and product. She should be included in this conversation. Along with what's ever so important is the key role influencers play in marketing today, right? So the world of TikTok and Instagram, those influencers are pushing product, pushing trends, and pushing patterns, and pushing people to stores, or the store owner themselves is the influencer. We have made a concerted effort in reaching out to them. We have a special function with them right now. We have a commitment from influencers that have a reach of over 2.2 million followers through all of their platforms are coming to learn about different products. And they actually have a competition for them where the products that they will learn about, they compete for money with what they're doing.
That's an impressive reach, over 2 million.
Yes. Yeah, I'm sure many of the manufacturers at the show would like to meet these people.
Yeah.
Even retailers, right? Because even if a retailer gets that influencer talking about their store or how they just shopped, it's the new modern way of how we need the market, where it used to be if you went to the library and told a friend, and then or your local CVBs, it's how we need to spread the message in today's business environment.
Yeah, definitely. So tell us a little bit about how's that influencer event going to work that you're doing?
Speaking about like the format of what we're going to do.
Yeah, with the influencers.
So, yep, the event will be staged with the key exhibitors that are part of it. We'll get an opportunity to introduce, and they each get kind of like a 5-minute elevator pitch. Everyone listens, they get the 5-minute elevator pitch, and then there's open time afterwards for networking and for those influencers to be able to go table to table to meet those people. They receive a little gift bag. And then there's a follow-up. We're working with Prime Media on then the actual contest competition part, as far as posting and making and the tracking of how many how many likes, and the game part of the whole competition.
Yeah. So if there are influencers or suppliers or retailers listening to this right now before the show that wanted to be a part of that, is that already locked down, or is that something they could still be a part of if they wanted to?
I will recall my friend, Mr. P.T. Barnum. Everyone's welcome. Might be a 5-cent ticket, might be a $50 ticket. But as event organizers, and what we do is our living and our passion. Our job is to connect people. So I don't want to exclude anyone from being connected. Yes, certain sponsorships will get sold out, but it doesn't mean that I won't then sit and speak with you and figure out how do we still help you achieve your business goals and achieve what you want to get out of coming to the event. So bottom line is we will find ways to connect anyone who humanly wants to be connected.
That's great. Well, so what we'll do in the show notes, we'll put a link to the website and your contact info with your permission. And if anyone has interest in that, they can reach out to you and talk to you about the options of being a part of that, because that sounds like a really neat event that you're going to be doing with the influencers.
Yeah, please do. It's and for me, it's what's fun is that we know this is generation 1.0. So it's a great start. We're about 4 weeks out from it. So it's like, this is just a taste of where we think we can go in here and into the future. This is just our starting point.
Yeah, it's going to be a great launching point for sure. So you mentioned a minute ago, obviously there's still COVID out there. There's in some areas it's on the rise again. And I know there's probably some people that are concerned about traveling or being in an in-person show. And from what you've shared with me, I think you guys have done a great job of providing options for people to engage either way, either in person or digital. So share that with us, and how would that work for someone who wanted to engage virtually with the show?
Sure. So right as you said, so our goal is to not have barriers for anyone. We want everyone to be safe. On our website, you'll find our health and safety protocols. They mimic what you would see in the general area of Rosemont. Same types of things in place. So please take some time and look at that. We also have free testing kits available. We'll have masks available. We have hand sanitizing available. The building itself has gone through mechanical upgrades as well throughout this whole lovely part of the time that we're in, or this piece of history that we're living through. But the fun part of what we're able to offer is that, let's say you can't come because you have a health concern or financial concern. Airline tickets, we recognize, are not cheap, or you need to be in your store, right? You run your store operators. You have a son's graduation or daughter's graduation, some family event. No longer would I accept those as excuses of why you can't participate, because we are offering what we call H&H Connect. H&H Connect is our digital platform. So it's essentially a mini LinkedIn, to give people an analogy of what it's like. You're able to log in. The system has AI matchmaking capabilities. So based on your profile that you fill out, it then looks for someone on the reciprocating side and says, you two should talk, and it makes those natural suggestions. You have the ability, like LinkedIn, to search by product, search by name, search by job title, search by country, search by product they're offering, all different ways to connect one-to-one. And then the tool, which is great because you can do this and ask for a meeting in your booth during the show. You can ask for a meeting. Hey, you don't have a booth, but let's take table 2 at the show. But then also we are doing what's called the digital after show, so that the week following, so you're talking starting on Monday, June 30th, excuse me, let's get the right part of the calendar here. June 27th through July 1st, the digital after show will take place. And then during that time, you can request virtual meetings so that you can go through the exhibitor list, ask that exhibitor for a meeting, you could book an appointment with that exhibitor, and then you would come back to the platform and have a video meeting through the platform with all of our exhibitors. So you don't have to not have that exhibitor meeting because you're unable to get to the show. All of the free content will be free on demand on the platform. All of our paid content, if you buy a class, is available on demand on the platform. Additionally, we are working on live programming, at least one event every day over the 5 days, that we will offer at different times of the day. One that I actually just confirmed, 2 of them that I did this morning. One, we're going to do a trademark registration event where it's a course, basically trademark registration basics, hands-on course, and it's going to be about an hour discussion or an hour-led class from a Tulane legal professor talking about how trademark is important. You don't have to be afraid of it. You can do it as a small business. You could actually do it yourself. So she's going to be leading that discussion with another individual we put on the books for a program that's going to talk about from a designer's point of view, where it's a designer review the show of designers working with suppliers. And then also from a designer's point of view about some of the trends and ideas around inclusive design that she saw coming from the show. And that'll be also about a 30 to 45 minute class. And these classes are not one way. You have the ability to be interactive with live messaging via typed in chats to ask questions, talk to each other through the platform. The platform also does a few other bells and whistles within it, but it's the idea that you don't have to not participate just because you're not able to physically be present.
Yeah. that is some great capabilities. So basically, suppliers and retailers, big or small, in person or virtual, sounds like there's great opportunity for people to engage and connect, like you were saying, through the H&H Americas show, live or virtual.
Yeah, the bottom line is, if you make a living in the fiber arts, however you want to define what that making a living is, whether it's a side gig, full-time gig, small store, mega store, multinational store, any of those things, you don't have an excuse not to participate, not to learn, not to improve your business, not to connect with your communities. You have all of these now tools available to you in almost any way you want to do it. You now have the option to improve yourself, improve your business, and improve the world. Because just by meeting people, that's how we, I think, improve society. Just getting to make one new friend today, that maybe that friend will be there tomorrow.
Yeah, that's great thoughts. So I don't know that you can say it any better than the way you just said it, but if someone is on the fence right now, they're still trying to decide, they haven't decided to come, haven't purchased their tickets yet, either for in-person or virtual, what would you say to that person that may be listening right now? You've kind of stirred their interest in some of the things we're talking about. The person that's kind of trying to make a decision, what would you share with them?
Well, one, I would say write one of our exhibitors. You can find them on our website, because they all have free tickets to give you for the expo itself. So it's a $55 value. So finances shouldn't be a reason to not walk the show floor or come digitally to the show floor. And repeating what I said, there should be no hesitation. Get a ticket today. Go virtual. Decide the day before to get in the car and drive here. Cool, show up. I shouldn't say it doesn't matter, because it does matter, right? Like, I am human. I like more human connection. I would like to have these, like doing podcasts or doing recordings, like sitting in a booth together, being able to shake a hand and doing that is how I personally like to connect. But if that's not your business, if that's not you, and that's not how you feel comfortable in today's space, there's still no reason to not participate. So I would say, even if you can't decide if you want to take a class or not, redeem that free ticket, get that show ticket to come to participate. I should say come to participate, whichever channel participation means for you. And then an hour before the class opens, we can help you buy that class if it's a paid class. If it's a free class, it's a free class. Click in, walk in. You don't have to do a whole lot of planning. The only thing you have to do is to take 2 minutes to fill out the online form, so that you will get the login information.
Okay, great, Darrin. Well, what a great recap of H&H Americas. Hope the people listening got more information maybe than they had, and got an understanding for the vision of the show and some of the things that are going to be going on. I wish you guys the best of luck, and excited that you're going to be here in the U.S. and can't wait to hear about it after the show and hear how everything went. So thanks for being with us today.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, and I look forward to seeing everyone in at Rosemont Exhibition Center in June.
Sounds good. Thanks, Darrin.
Take care.
I hope you enjoyed our conversation on the Creative Retail Talks podcast today. Be sure to visit our show notes page for more information on today's show. And if you'd like to be a guest on the podcast, reach out to me at clint@creativeretailtalks.com. Creative Retail Talks is all one word. That email address will also be in the show notes. Hope you have a great day.